money doesn't truly buy happiness. It buys the ability to take care of people, the ability to shop, travel. But if you still have issues and you still have traumas and blockages and insecurities, money can't do anything about that. It's so much better to feel all right than right.
It's a lot better to feel all right than right. That's you should put that on the shirt. That's like quote of the day right there.
I've seen the look of darkness not only on myself but a lot of other people. And when those lights come back on, and it impacts everybody around them, it's the greatest thing in the world. About 3 or 4 of those guys, I said they stopped calling me idiot at that age because they had a new name for me, and it was boss.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to this episode of the Mogul Insider Podcast. It's your host, Adam Tatunji, back at you guys again with a part 2 with Darren Prince. A couple things. I haven't seen you in like 3-4 years now, but I will tell you, you're one of the nicest people I've ever met in the industry. I got to give it to you. Like, when we first met, I was shocked when you invited me to your birthday. Yeah. So I'm like, who the hell am I to get an invite, you know? And but I walked in, you were so, like, the hospitality, you were so nice, so kind, so welcoming. I was like, I need to sit down with you again and I need to just check up, see how you're doing. So I definitely appreciate you for hopping on today. I'm going to get started with one question. I want to ask you this. How's God been treating you in your life?
It's been unbelievable. Each day I'm on this beautiful life journey of helping people. We talked so much about business before I got here, but I think it's all intertwined. I think when you live in a place of service and kindness and helping others, I celebrated 15 and a half years on January 2nd of recovery. And
that's awesome.
But it's not just putting down drinks and drugs, it's changing your mindset. You just talked about how I greeted you at the birthday party.
Yeah.
I don't have an ego anymore. You know, it doesn't matter that I'm surrounded by the biggest stars in the world and who I spoke to on the way down here that, you know, people would flip out over. It's my livelihood. That's what I do. You know, who I am is a person that found his purpose in life from his pain. And now able to use the platform. It doesn't matter if it's Brad Lee or you or Jay Shetty. Every podcast, an interview or talk show that I do, I just look to get to one person. And I know by the time we're done, we're going to help a lot more than one.
For sure. No, because it's like the funniest story. When I walked into your birthday party, I mean, everybody had some humongous accomplishment in their life, right? Like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a star for the LA Lakers. Oh, I'm a freaking forward for the Chicago Bulls. I used to work with Michael Jordan. I run the entire team. And like, oh, what do you do? I'm a Hollywood superstar. And then they would ask me, what do I do? I'm like, I just know Darren.
Mic drop.
Yeah. I was like, guys,
we had a fun interview even back then at my old building, the Avalon, I remember.
Yes.
You were on point then. You definitely had some early talent, and I'm sure you've just gotten a lot better.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that. So I know since like the last time we touched base, you've done a lot of stuff. I know COVID was a thing back then. Now it's not. You've seemed to expanded your team. You seem to expanded your talent. I got to ask you at this point, you know, you're very young age, you know, what keeps you going? Like, you know, I'm just like, I know you said service is a big thing for you, but I feel like for somebody in your stance, you've kind of achieved what people might think is the highest levels of success, right? What like motivates you to keep kind of rocking that momentum every day?
I just think there's always ways to build and scale a business. And, you know, I've probably got 4 or 5 people now that are younger that work with me, agents, one assistant, and I want to see them win, you know? And just pay it forward. It's not really, the focus isn't about the money, you know, with so many of the icons that we represent. It's more about legacy and finding the right projects to, you know, set up any sort of perpetuity type of deals and equity type of projects because they've earned that. You know, some of the biggest names in the world, some of the most cultural iconic individuals, you know, from Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Charlie Sheen, Carmen Electra. She's on fire right now. She just did a Skims campaign for Kim Kardashian. You know, Jerry West. You know, a lot of my guys, David Goggins. They're all just. I think they've just found a way to make an imprint. And what's old is sort of new again. So this young generation of superstars, they all look up to everybody that I, work for and been blessed to be affiliated with. And I've seen it. It's pretty remarkable. Ric Flair is bigger than he's ever been. And I mean, Bad Bunny's video and Quavo, I mean, they're like obsessed with him, you know what I'm saying? And there's a couple little music videos. My recent ex she's 26, and she just thought Ric Flair was this old guy in the Ric Flair Drip music video.
Yeah.
Kind of funny to hear that, and then she met him, and we went out for his birthday dinner in Beverly Hills one day, and she just saw the mayhem when you're out with Ric Flair.
That's hilarious. So, in the world that you're in, a lot of people might testify to be a very godless environment, right? Because everyone's kind of just like following their temptations or going after this facade of what they think life is. How do you maintain your faith and your connection to God as you go through everything that you do every day? Because there's a lot of temptations, I'm sure, that get thrown your way, right? Especially you've said you've been 15 years in recovery now.
Yep.
Massive congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I know that's like a big thing that you stand by. How do you work to, like, that inner battle that you have with the things that you desire or the things that you might, I'm not sure, whatever it might be, right? How do you tend to like control that and make sure that your connection with God stays strong?
Well, I pray every night before I go to bed. I try to remember a lot of my spiritual principles that I learned, which are the 5 A's: attitude, adjustment, accountability, action, and acceptance. I say what I mean what I say, and I don't say it mean. 99.99% of the times I say that right. Times I don't, I pay the price, because I can't pick up a drink or a drug or pop a pill if I fall off the beam. Now, I got to roll around with the emotional hangover that sometimes lasts for days because I open up my big fat mouth. And I tell people this all the time when I speak. If you're in the heat of an argument, the next time anyone that's listening is ready to go at it with boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, sister, brother, coworker, it's so much better to feel all right than right. And in 5 or 10 minutes, if you don't open up our big fat mouth or send that dumb text or send out that email, you're not going to remember what the heck you were just so pissed off about 10 minutes ago. But if we engage, the entire day, your entire universe, energy, laws of attraction, manifestation, done. You just ruin the entire day.
It's a lot better to feel all right than right. That's you should put that on the shirt. That's like quote of the day right there.
Yeah, but it's also, just constantly connecting with people in recovery. Not just in recovery, the mental health, people struggling with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, bipolar, self-esteem issues. Because the self-esteem is what, as drug addicts and alcoholics, that's the addiction. Trying to fix that. And people don't realize that we don't get addicted to the drugs or the alcohol. We get addicted to the escape of reality of not feeling whole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then so once you put the drink and the drugs down, then you really got to do the road work and the soul searching to go back into a time machine, work on those traumas and those blockages. And I've got a spiritual healer, my boy Landre. He's the best I've ever worked with. He's like a Joe Dispenza on steroids. We do guided meditations once or twice a month where he literally puts me out for a good hour at a time, because no matter where you're elevating at in life, we all always have stuff. There's bad energies that you want to remove so you stay in aligned with, the world that we want to be in.
So funny enough, one of the questions that I have written out was, I guess, something right along those lines. Starting off by saying, once again, congratulations. 15 years is a huge milestone. So as someone who has overcome such an experience, right, for the person who is going through something similar, and even in the most, drastic of situations, no matter what case they can be in, there's always still this desire in those people to where they want better for themselves, right? No matter how far their addiction has gone, they still want better for themselves. What would you say is the biggest step a person needs to take for them to implement that desire to actually become better?
I think it's asking for help. I think a lot of times there's a stigma with mental health and insecurities, and we all have to know somebody in our life that, can give us a helping hand when we just don't feel like ourselves. And when I was at the White House, I was honored to go there 3 times when President Trump was in office. I had a working relationship with him from Celebrity Apprentice when we had Dennis Rodman and Brandy Roderick on there. And I got to spend time with him and Kellyanne Conway and Governor Chris Christie, who went to my high school, Livingston High School. And I told Kellyanne and Governor Christie that they should be implementing self-worth courses in grammar school and high school. Yeah. It would change the entire landscape of mental health and substance abuse. It would be that simple of a fix, because I was somewhat athletic in high school, but I also, you would have thought from the outside, I was completely normal, but I felt like nerdy. I never felt like I fit in. I don't know how you guys were, but imagine the jocks, the nerds, the geeks, the popular people, all in one room. Be able to throw out there how they're all feeling on any given day. No judgment, no bullying. It would change the course of the young culture's life, because even the jocks and the more popular people, there's still pressures in their life. You know what I'm saying? That's where the expression comes, high school hero, lifetime zero comes in. Why do you think that expression has existed for a long, long time? Because it's a lot of my boys that were big time studs in friggin' high school, and some got a couple college scholarships to play football and went nowhere. You lose your sense of self, you lose an identity. Everything that validated you is gone, just like that. And you get injured in a college sport and your career's over, forget about it. Those are the ones that are, now if they had a course on developing self-worth, not from the exterior sense, to understand reality that this might not work out. You might have a great ride in college scholarship, but the chances of you making it as a pro athlete are very slim to none. Instead of having all your boys around you and your family that's pushing you, you're going to make it, and it's not reality.
But really, like in that person's situation, like that star athlete from like high school and so on, that person's like their family life is probably not that strong, right? Unfortunately, that person's family is probably not supporting them. They probably have a lot of issues internally that he's handling fairly well from the outside, but internally it's just eating away at that person, right? So why would you say it's beneficial more to have more of a like classroom-like setting where there's multiple people in one room than just like a one-on-one therapy session with students? Because I love the idea.
Yeah, I just don't think enough people are comfortable one-on-one. I think it takes one person in a classroom to break that cycle, where all of a sudden others can identify and start putting their hands up and start chatting about it. And I think eventually it just becomes a place of comfort for people to talk about. I spoke to a group after my book came out, Long Island, a group of high school kids. There's about 3,000 of them, and I'll never forget this. And when I was done, big kind of like heavy set awkward kid puts his hand up during the Q&A and he looks down. He's literally looking at the ground. He goes, "Mr. Prince, I got to tell on myself. You said something, and I had to put my hand up. I've been drinking, 15 years old. I've been drinking. I've been taking pills out of my mom's medicine cabinet, and I'm getting really angry. And I know I'm a big guy, and it's real dangerous when I get angry. And I'd like to talk to you after the speech." I literally just got choked up. That how did this happen? Wow. From some God-given words that came out of my mouth, and I had to take that deep breath. And I said, man, I said, I only have 2 words right now that are coming to my head. Those 2 words are, I wish. I wish I had the courage and the strength at your age to speak up in front of this entire auditorium, because I don't even think you realized how many lives you just impacted of this entire school. And he came over to me after the Q&A. I gave him a copy of my signed book. Most amazing thing was the next morning I got a call from the principal and the lead guidance counselor. That young man lost his father 6 months ago. I lost my father a year earlier, which I talked about. That young man has been classified with a severe learning disability and verbally teased. That's how my story started, why I resorted to drugs and alcohol. And the mother called the guidance counselor and the principal to say, whoever this Darren Prince guy is, I think he literally just changed the course of my son's life. I woke him up to get ready for school this morning. I haven't seen him read a book ever. and he had the book Aiming High opened, and he got through 3/4 of it and must have fallen asleep with his clothes on last night. My book. That's why I know that if it's done in a public setting, it's that much more impactful. They told me over 50 kids that same day wound up coming to see the guidance counselor to talk about what's going on in their lives, their home life, because that's the other thing. It's not just like you just said about the star athletes. A lot of times the parents aren't there either. You know, the parents could be at work and they could be very successful. One could be absent, but if they're very successful, they might not have the time to be as hands-on. So that kid is doing everything to become the best he can be athletically, and then it could happen, you know, educational-wise, you know, where they're just glued to a computer to become the smartest they can be. But that also doesn't give you social skills. So now you're struggling with, once you get out of high school, college, whatever, you have that feeling of being different, which is the way that I grew up.
It's tough because, you know, in that situation, you're trying to do all of these major accomplishments to get an acknowledgement from your parents or from your peers. But then once you reach those accolades,
What's next?
what's next?
No.
You feel a sort of emptiness because you haven't been doing it for yourself.
And now that becomes a cycle. I've learned this from my vibrational life coach. It's called the loop. So no matter what level of success you get at in life, as you keep evolving, you keep going back into the loop of what's next, because there's a blockage, and your subconscious just puts yourself into place every time. So you're never, ever content or in a place of happiness. You're always second guessing yourself because of whatever that trauma was growing up that you never filled a void with.
I think what's really interesting, to kind of like give you another perspective on your question, is when you're in that group setting, it's kind of like that saying that like parents will give their children, where it's like, you know, a person goes to, you know, a doctor to tell him his problems. He tells him, write it on a piece of paper, folds it up, puts it in a box.
Yep.
The next day he comes back for another session. He goes, go look for your paper in that box. He starts opening up all these papers to read other people's problems. And he stops to look for his own. He's like, never mind, I don't have any problems, you know? So I think the participation in a group setting, what's really cool about it is it allows you to adopt and recognize other perspectives from other people's experiences in the same life that we all live.
Yep.
And so even if you're not participating to be the guy to tell your problems, to get it off your chest, just recognizing and understanding will give you a sense of ease, because you're like, hey, you know what? I'm not alone.
Yep.
At least.
At any level. So it could be the smartest people in the class, it could be the best looking, the most athletic, but everybody's got something.
Everyone's got their insecurities, everyone's got their issues.
They're all throwing it out there at the same time. And I think the camaraderie of classmates getting together, and I think it would stop social media bullying and all that other stuff that's going on, because you could see it from a different side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The star athletes talk about the father being an alcoholic and an abusive, and you've heard these stories a million times.
Yeah, like Mike Tyson, for example, that's an easy one.
Yeah, you know, the nerdy kid that felt he was being picked on might be like, I need to have a little bit more compassion for him. I understand where this is coming from. It's not on me.
Yeah.
But what you're doing to me is actually making me feel insecure.
Right.
That I shouldn't be in the crossfire of your, I mean, just like that, you would have like you know what I'm saying? It'd be unbelievable.
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
Dude, talking to you always makes me go into like
No, this is
a million deep thoughts. I'm just like sitting there reflecting, going, "That's insane."
I feel like we've landed on like this Zen.
Yes.
We got the candles lit.
I'm doing a guided meditation tonight, so this is perfect.
Yeah, I love it. So, Darren, I mean, I think it's interesting because a lot of people these days, especially because of social media, I was a big proponent of it up until last year, actually. I was so caught up with the whole idea that I had to prove something to somebody, right?
Yep.
Whether it's to myself or my family or my affiliates, whoever I work with. And I got to what I thought, at least from a financial standpoint, from when we talked till today, I built a very successful agency. There was a lot of things that happened. And I hated it. Literally hated it. And that was like the biggest slap in the face, because I'm sitting here thinking whatever I thought I wanted, I got. And I sat there and I'm like, that doesn't fill me up. I don't even feel like it's it's worth a damn. So I'm curious, like, what advice, like, would you give to those that are on the come up? Because it's very hard when when you have that chip on your shoulder to kind of sit back and like take a moment and reflect and go, oh, actually, you know what? That's the wrong way of doing things. I should go this way, right? Because it's like you get kind of blind with like what's in front of you. How do you balance all that out and making sure that you don't lose yourself towards your way to success? Because like obviously, I feel like at this point in your life, you've kind of developed a balance that works for you. And I'd love if you shared a little bit more insight on that.
Well, I didn't always have it this way up until I was 38, obviously, because I didn't know how to handle the success and, you know, the notoriety and, you know, some of the biggest stars in the world that I was rolling around with and traveling everywhere and, you know, the woman, everything that came along with that life and that behavior. I was trying to fill a void, you know, so it took me until this journey of recovery started in 2008 to realize that, you know, I've said it so many times that money doesn't truly buy happiness. It buys the ability to take care of people, the ability to shop, travel. But if you still have issues and you still have traumas and blockages and insecurities and inferiority complex and mental health issues and relationship problems, money can't do anything about that. That's for somebody to sit with, you know, sense of self and really find out, you know, decide what their purpose is in life, you know, because you could have goals in business and entrepreneurship and building a huge podcast and all that, and that's great. But if that other stuff is still there, you're never going to understand what the word fulfilled means. You're always going to be looking for that next thing. And there's always going to be little moments where you have that self-doubt or insecurities and constantly chasing. I don't have that. I have the complete opposite now. If I lost the agency in the morning tomorrow, you guys would still be sitting in front of the same Darren Prince, as happy as can be. And I could look back and say, man, what a 40-year run of entrepreneurship, 30 years as an agent.
Yeah.
And thank you, God, and what's next on this journey. The only thing that would be heartbreaking is I wouldn't be able to take care of my staff, my mom, you know, my agents, all that stuff. And I'd be completely fine moving into a little studio with a bed and a TV. It would be, you know, that would be my next journey. And I'd be okay accepting it because I found me in here, and in here, and in here. A lot of people don't understand that. You know, when you're chasing the exterior success, you have to try to find a way for your internal self-love and the way you feel about yourself to kind of go up with it and go down with it too at challenging times, and just try to find that balance.
That's the most insane thing I've ever heard. Only reason why is because we just came back from Friday prayer. And the lecture, the sermon during Friday prayer was about the prophet Ayub, peace be upon him. And basically, the story about prophet Ayub is once he arrived at 70 years of age, he was hit with an illness, right? He was tested with an illness that caused his entire, society around him to flee, his whole family to flee, right? All except his wife. And one of the things that he would tell his wife is basically, God gave me 70 years of healthy life.
And success.
And success and everything I ever wanted. Why am I going to deny all that and then ask him to change my situation now? And so for you to say exactly that is crazy.
I thought about that right away.
It's crazy. I wanted to ask, based off of his question, your answer, how much does gratitude have to play a role?
It's a lot. I tell people you got to make a gratitude list, and wake up with the attitude of gratitude, because if you don't understand, like the majority of us, you have luxury problems,
Yep.
and we just don't understand that.
That's a slap in the
just
face.
Like the worst thing in the world, because a bank wire or a contract we're expecting didn't come in today or next Tuesday, and the money's got to go out to a client. No, it's not the worst thing in the world. These are the things that used to drive me batshit crazy. I just don't let it anymore. Yeah, could you be disappointed, but don't let it dictate your whole day. If you have a down day and if you have a down week, I always say we're not responsible for our thoughts, but we are responsible for how long we want to think those thoughts. And most of us have the tools to get out of our own way. call up one of your boys, call up a family member, call up a coworker, colleague, anybody you know that's just going through a rough time. Get yourself out of your own head and watch how quickly whatever those problems you thought you had were problems, they're not even on your radar anymore.
Darren, do you believe in an afterlife?
Yeah.
Define to me what you think's going to happen.
Well, I get so many signs, and smoking Joes popped up in my dreams. My dad, my uncle Stu. I mean, continuously. Not to mention that I've had some mind-blowing, I call them GMCs, God-managed coincidences. When I was with my ex-fiance, there's a lot of exes. We were in Sydney, Australia. Priscilla and I were very close still, thank God. And I was in Sydney visiting her family. And this was probably 8 months or so after my dad passed away, maybe a year. And I'm literally heading to a 12-step meeting. And I'm on the phone with my sponsor. She was at the hotel. I told her I'd be back in like an hour just because that gives me that spiritual vibration I need for the day. That 1 hour to be able to go anywhere in the world to a 12-step meeting of recovered addicts and alcoholics is the best part of my day. And because you don't know anybody, but you walk in and you know everybody. And you're not at home, but you feel right at home. And so when I leave the meeting, I call my sponsor. You asked how it was. I said it was unbelievable. And I keep talking, and I don't realize that I actually got lost. And he's like, man, he goes, you're doing the right thing. Keep it up. Your dad, I got to believe he's looking down right now. Well, proud as I turn on the street I got lost. The name of the street was Martin Place. My dad's name was Darren Prince. I have a ton of stories like that.
That's crazy.
Those things are...
That's wild.
When you're dialed in, to a power greater than yourselves, whatever it is you might believe in, these signs come. I think everybody has the ability to see them, but it depends how you look at life. If you're always on that pity pot, what you didn't get, how things didn't work out, you'll never see them. But if you wake up with a place of gratitude, as often as possible, signs will come.
There is like a power of giving. There's when you give your time, when you give some sort of like money to a charitable, to like a charity or something like that, it makes you feel like, not that you're better than anyone, but it makes you feel like your problems are obsolete, right? Or absolute. So like, it's interesting to hear you speak. You went from a lot of success, and you're so successful, thank God, right? To, with the whole addiction and stuff like that. I feel like you found yourself, when you hit rock bottom, in helping other people. Hearing out their stories, helping them out, because you were probably in their position not too long ago. Not many people, I feel like, actually get to actually like grasp the whole power of giving, because when you are able to give your time to actually influence another individual, to hear someone out, to pick up that phone call of your friend, you haven't talked to that person in a while, you just a random phone call, hey, how you doing? I'm actually just call you randomly, I'm just having a bad day. Something like that can go such a long way in that person's life that eventually it makes you feel significant again. Because I know in the beginning 100%. Of the podcast we were talking about a lot of people that go into like your star athletes and so on and so forth, right? They fall into pleasing other people that they feel empty inside. But many people may ask, how can I possibly feel something inside? How can I regain that feel? And I feel like it's important to give back to people, to invest yourself into other people, because internally you're going to walk away from that feeling like just not even $1 million. It's priceless.
It's priceless. No, you can't explain it. I say it all the time that, respectfully, it wasn't Magic or Hulk. I love them to death, or Chevy Chase, or Muhammad Ali back in the day, or Smoking Joe. It was these people that taught me about service work. That when I went to my first 12-step meeting with the Gift of Desperation on July 2nd, 2008, 5 minutes earlier, I was in a bathroom on the floor screaming out to God, take me out of hell. if you take me out of hell, I'll spend one day the rest of my life taking others out with me. And I walked into this room. It had 150, 200 addicts and alcoholics in a church basement, all once of a hopeless state of mind I finally felt a part of. And they taught me about service work, and they taught me about when you get this precious gift of sobriety, you want to keep it, better give it away to other people. And, my sponsor pointed that out after I got to a year sober, because I was just going to the meetings for me at that point. I was working the fellowship and this 12 steps for me. So I was in France at the time, and he called me. I'll never forget. I was walking down Monaco with my ex-wife, and I'm just beaming. 1 year sober, people texting me and getting messages nonstop. And he called me and literally just let me have it. He goes, "You've been doing good for the first year." He goes, "Let me ask you something. Because you want to keep this thing?" I go, "It's the best thing in my life." He goes, "Good. It's time to start sponsoring, working with other people." And I got news for you too. You also got a pretty big platform, man. He goes, "You might want to be a little bit vocal about this gift that you got, because you ain't going to keep it unless you give it away." And that's when it just came to me. And that's how I developed self-esteem. I have my own foundation, Aiming High Foundation. I have scholarship, dozens of people that need rehab and mental health treatment. And it's the greatest thing in the world. I could be having a completely off day the minute I know that somebody got checked into a treatment center because of funds that I had donated for a speaking engagement versus keeping them selfishly, is able to scholarship people. It's the greatest feeling in the world. And then you get a call from them a month or two later, or the husband or the wife or the kids, and it's not just the person suffering. We kill everybody else around us. So when that person gets their family back and it goes from a house to a home, it's completely different, because I've seen the look of darkness not only on myself but a lot of other people, and when those lights come back on, and it impacts everybody around them, it's the greatest thing in the world.
We've gone so away from being human. We've gone so selfish. We've gone so self-centered. Me. How can I benefit myself and forget everyone else around me? That it's really random sometimes when I'm just on the freeway, I'm just stuck in traffic, I'm seeing other people just around me, and I'm like, man, everyone has their own life right now. Everyone has the best times of their life, the worst times of their life. Everyone's going through something. They're going to something. There's so much going on. So it can't be just me. It can't just you kind of realize that we're all in this together. And we're here really just to try to benefit and to grow from one another, instead of just taking away, to scamming and just sucking the life out of other people because of our own selfishness.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, man. The only reasons that I become selfish is because, in my mind, I want to be able to focus on whatever it is that I need to get done, or a big business project, so I can then benefit other people. I ain't going out buying freaking Ferraris and crazy expensive cars. I lived that. I've done all that stuff. It doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I don't need a 10, 15, $20 million mansion. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. I'm just not that person. I've been there, done that. It didn't make me happy. If I want to get ahead in business or have the opportunity that I really want badly, literally I'll have a list of the individuals that will benefit once something like that gets done. There's nothing I do for myself.
So I want to ask about pride, because earlier when I was asking you the question, how does somebody, get themselves to move forward from just having the thoughts of wanting to do better to actually becoming better, we know pride holds people back a lot from asking help.
And shame.
Okay. So yeah, absolutely. That actually ties in. I feel like that ties in because it's because of the shame, you feel like it's affecting your pride. Yeah. So it's stopping you from asking others for help. How do you shatter someone's pride in the least negative way possible in order that they can get up and go seek the help they need?
I can tell you, I've seen it firsthand, that people don't realize they think there's a stigma, there's an embarrassment to asking for help. And to me, it's the other way around. I think the embarrassment in living that way, when you weren't put on this earth to live that life, that the real strength and the real courage is when you actually ask for the help. That's when the gifts come. So I don't care who it is. There's not a person on this earth that's never needed help at a certain point in their life, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Nobody. No one's off limits to that. And when you find it within you to be okay to, whether it's, a doctor, family member, loved one, coworker, somebody that can give a helping hand, to be a voice, to possibly direct you to your higher purpose, the blessings just come, because you're in a place of, vulnerability, transparency. You're asking for the help. You want the help. You've got the willingness. You've got the accountability. I'm yet to see somebody that told me, man, I was accountable, willing. I threw it all out there, and my life still sucks, and it's gotten worse. Mm-hmm. I believe too much in energies and laws of attraction and words of affirmation, and I've seen it for years and years now in this journey for people that are in that place. Life just eventually works out. Now, it might not work out on your timeline because we could be impatient, but it's going to work out if you stay that course and stay that person.
Nice. No, because I want to tie it in with, how do you feel in general about the idea of irrational self-belief, and how does one balance having irrational self-belief with their pride, to where that irrational self-belief doesn't push onto the angle of arrogance?
I think irrational self-belief's probably gotten worse and worse because of social media. I think just so many people out there living these fake double lives, or wanting the perception of them, as you talked about earlier, but you actually got there, of getting those likes and those comments. This young culture has it cut out for them, because none of that is good. I can't even imagine growing up in the industry if social media existed. So I don't want to be too hard on them, because I was rolling with, Pamela Anderson in her heyday, and Magic, and Ali, and Frazier. I probably would have been posting selfies and doing everything imaginable for people to think I had the life. But I was always that person, like Jay Shetty and I talked about. I was, for some reason, looking backwards at the people that told me I would never make it, to get validation when I was already on top.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's funny, and I want to point this out for the listeners. I'm obviously still figuring a lot of things out. I'm a student of life, but I don't necessarily tend to shame people for having certain chips on their shoulders, because I think, like you said, earlier in your life, looking back at the people that said you were going to fail motivated you to succeed.
Helps you motivate you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where maybe today you might look back and go, man, that's kind of stupid. I don't really care. I'm a lot more content with myself. And I think a lot of people that might watch this might go, oh, is it wrong for me to feel this way? And they start feeling weird about themselves, right? And I've come to learn that, in every stage in life, you shouldn't feel that you're in the wrong in any way, unless you're doing something like a criminal act or something that you shouldn't be doing at all. But those emotions come to play if you know how to manifest them into your life properly. They're actually what's necessary for you to kind of push forward. When I first started, the chip on my shoulder was I didn't know anything. I dropped out of college. I'm I got to figure something out, or else I don't want to look like a failure. Now I'm not really necessarily concerned of whether or not how I look like in front of people. I'm more so focused on okay, I got married, I have a family now, I got to take care of the people around me, and I want to grow from this and help others grow too. And I think as people evolve through these stages, it's important to recognize that it's okay to feel certain things to be able to push you through them. And whatever that fire might be, maybe it is having an abusive father and thinking, I'm going to be a better man. Or maybe it is being bullied in high school and grown up and saying, I'm going to show you that I'm better than you. Not to let it get to a point, like he said, where it's arrogant and you destroy your life over it.
If you could use it to motivate and elevate you, the same way I did growing up in small classrooms, and all my friends were in bigger classrooms. I was called the idiot, the dumb one. But it never changed me as a person. Nobody's ever going to tell you Darren Prince was an asshole. Unless, of course, they tried calling my name, which has happened. And, I'm deaf in my left ear. And sometimes, you guys are laughing, but it's funny. It's actually happened a bunch. Or I'll get a text and it said, bro, I saw you out last night. You walked right past me. Did you not hear me? I'm like, No, I didn't hear you.
Oh, man.
But outside of that, nobody's ever going to tell you. Like, I was like this world-class asshole to them because I didn't let it change. I didn't let my mission of being motivated by whatever it might have happened to me to give me that kick in the butt to not make me be a kind, good-hearted person. And that's where, if you bring that arrogance in, all of a sudden you hear the expression, somebody's an asshole and they have no money, they come into a lot of money, they're typically a bigger asshole. If you're a good person with no money, you come into a lot of money, you're a better person.
Yeah. And you know how you said GMC? What was it? God
managed coincidence.
Yeah, God managed coincidence. It's funny because I've had a lot of moments in my life where, that thought of, oh, I need to prove somebody wrong will come 360. I'll give you an example. So I had like a specific group of people who in college used to like just bully the crap out of me. Okay. And last year when I was hiring for my company, a lot of them started applying to work for me. And I would just kind of like, they tried to come back into my life, text me, hey bro, congrats on your success, all this cool stuff. And I remember 2 times where I had okay, like I might be driving a nice car. I pull up and I see them and I go, this is what I was looking for, really? This is so stupid. Like, that moment where like God gives you that 360.
Oh, I've had it a lot. I wrote in my book, and a lot of people love this. My co-author, Krista McGinnis, that when my baseball card company started blowing up at like 14, 15, 16, and then I dropped out of college, and I had that with the sports memorabilia. We used to do autograph signings with athletes and celebrities. About 3 or 4 of those guys, I said they stopped calling me idiot at that age because they had a new name for me, and it was Boss. And they were all like unemployed after coming up from college in the summer and needed work. And it's funny how that happened. I mean, I had my boy Chris Gianella, is a huge publisher up in Beverly Hills, big magazine, and we were on each other's soccer team growing up. I was very cordial, and he came by my place 5-6 months ago. We grew up together in Livingston, New Jersey. We're both California boys now, and we're at the cafe in my building, and he's like, because you got to be like, there's nobody even coming close in our class to your success. Like, it's just unbelievable, like, what you built, bro. Like, and I was like, with what, though? Because to me, the success is what I give to the universe each day. The business side, there's a lot of people making money. That's not what validates me.
Yeah.
I know to the everyday world, people are blown away when it could be on a jet with Magic or somewhere with Chevy or whoever it might be, or Hulk, but that's not what does it for me at all. Maybe from an exterior sense to them, yes, but there's nobody in my class, I guarantee, that's got a global recovery brand that I do, and to become a voice around the world like I have. And that means way more to me than any type of monetary success. Because you can't just develop that. That comes when, you bring a power greater than yourselves into your life that gives you this psychic change of mind, body, and spirit and soul, where you completely do a 180 on your life and realize it's not working anymore. Multiple overdoses, wanted to kill myself every day the last 2 years of my life, and for some reason, God chose me when I had that willingness. Hulk Hogan says it all the time. It's like, brother, I remember how bad it got, and you came to God and asked for the blessing, and he eventually came to you and said, you came to me correct, and now it's time for you to become a blessing to other people. And he touched you, and that was it. Who would have thought the so-called super agent life that people call it would have actually led me to my real purpose? But, God had a plan the whole time. He was just waiting for me to surrender. And once I surrendered and became willing and accountable and started doing the work and the road work on myself and not blaming anybody but me, like I said, it's here with you guys today. We're going to help a lot of people, I guarantee it, when this thing airs. And we're talking very little bit about the sports and celebrity life. I know people want to hear about it. I'm happy to talk about it, but this is real life. This is the type of stuff that can get you to the top of the sports and entertainment
This is what actually
industry,
matters.
or any other profession that you want to get to.
Yeah,
So
most-
we can
most
talk
of-
celebrity stories all day long. That's not going to motivate, inspire, direct anybody into becoming their higher self.
Yeah.
You know, I had all my questions focused pretty much on you rather than what's it called. But speaking of which, you think baseball cards are making a comeback or no?
I don't think baseball as much. I think it's more the other sports now. I got back into collecting and investing during the pandemic. Not as much now. It kind of went up so high and it pulled back a little bit. But the card industry is crazier than ever. Crazier than ever.
That's so interesting.
I was at the national convention this year in Chicago, and they had over 150,000 people in 3 days. I mean, you couldn't even walk down the aisles. I think it's so cool now because they've got like these box breaking, these live breaks where you know you can open up like a new card. My boy Kenny Golden is the biggest auction house in the world. I go back with him over 35 years from Golden Auctions, and he's got that TV show on Netflix. I think it's called is it Golden Touch? I think he had Drake on last year, opening up 86 Flair basketball, trying to pull Michael Jordan rookies. And
Wow.
Yeah, it's become it's like legalized gambling in a way, but it's I've always loved the fact because it did a lot for me with my dad. I think it's a great way for a father and a son to bond. But now they also have, I see a lot of like daughters and girls there with their dads, and it becomes like this big family affair. Like if you know what you're doing, you can literally make more money as a young entrepreneur in junior high school or high school in the trading card and collectible industry than anything.
Yeah. So I know we're on a time crunch. It's
I
already
hate that we're on a
3:15.
time crunch.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I could sit and talk to you forever. My last question for you, and then we'll wrap it up. This is more on the business side of things.
Yep.
So networking. I get questions like this all the time on my Instagram because they're like, how the hell did you meet the people that you met?
Yeah.
When you had no, because a lot of people think, I need to have a lot of notoriety, I need to have a lot of followers, subscribers, I need to be this like cool guy to like get into the right doors. Which I'd like to think in my life I've kind of proven that that's not the truth. So I get the questions a lot of like, what are these strategies that you do to network with these people? And it's funny because my answer all the time is like, I don't know, I'm just nice and I just ask. It's really not that hard. But from like your perspective, working with all of these like A-listers that you've worked with, what method do you have? A conscious methodology of like how you network with people? Like, do you follow a step-by-step process, or does it just kind of naturally come to you?
No, I think it's always been the same, and my father kind of taught me this. I think this is like a real superpower. I actually care. I develop real relationships with them. Dominique Wilkins and I were on the phone first thing this morning for an hour. Every call ends, "I love you, brother." With every single client, whether it's Carmen Electra, Denise Richards, Hulk, Rick, every time Magic and I speak, it's 99% about life and spirituality and God, and maybe this much about business. Charlie Sheen, same thing. Yesterday, half hour on the phone, and it was, "Love you, bro. I just want to make sure he was feeling good and how he's doing." And Flair, every single one of them, Chevy Chase, it's like I'm family to them. And I never changed that. That was the same person I was 30 years ago. If you're in any line of work and you're at a networking event or you're trying to buy tickets to a charity event to, network within that room, care more about the person than the business, because if you put the business first, it's never going to come. But if you find out about their special interests, their families, their hobbies, things they enjoy, places that they've been, questions that can like really form a bond and a trust, and take them to lunch, breakfast, dinner, whatever it might be, and just minimize the business talk. Get to know the person, because anybody could do business with one another in any sector of entrepreneurship. But I just don't think there's enough about the personal relationship development, and that's always first and foremost. Like David Goggins, the first time we worked together, gave me a cup in my book 2 years ago, and we were in the green room at a corporate in Atlanta, and I didn't even get into the celebrity stuff, but obviously you could see the middle with all the pictures. He read the book cover, and I told him, he goes, "Motherfucker," like I'm trying to sound like Goggins now. It's not a word I open use, because motherfucker. He goes, "We're gonna get along good," because I love anybody that goes to fucking war with themselves every day. That literally book and
is he like that?
interaction of the hell that I've been through on my own journey and coming out of the other side. made us bond.
Is he like that off camera too?
Yeah, he could still be.
That's hilarious.
Not as much energy.
Yeah.
He dials it down to be Davy Goggins.
Yeah.
But he's a one in a billion, man. I mean, one in a lifetime. Him and his wife Jennifer are amazing. Yeah, I told you before, he's cultural phenomenon right now, helping so many people. It's incredible. I'm just blessed, even if it wasn't the work, just blessed to have the relationship I have with him and his wife. Or the guy doesn't really let many people in at all into their inner circle. So it's a beautiful thing to have that with him. And I love listening to his Q&As and his talks, because every once in a while I'll pick up some things, and then when him and I are talking in private, he gets it from me too. Like I told him about my speaking event in September in Orlando at 3,000 to about 3,500 people. I raised about 70 grand. I'll tell you a quick story. And the next day, I flew back. I get a call from a woman with a 16-year-old daughter in the LA area that had her third fentanyl overdose, and they couldn't afford to send her to treatment. So I said, would your daughter call me? That's the only way that I help people. I don't do it because a mom or a dad or a sister or brother says, oh, they're ready. Well, then they got to show me they're ready. You reach out for me directly. I don't want to hear that your mother and your father want it more than you do. She got on the phone. She started following me on Instagram. I guess she started watching like a Jay Shetty clip. She asked me to send her the whole interview. I said, call me in the next couple of days. If you want my guidance and help, I'm more than happy to show you, the way to a better life, and we'll scholarship you into a treatment center. She literally called me 2 hours later, watched the whole interview, told me she's ready. Got her in a treatment center 2 days later. Probably around mid-October, I'm sitting at my big desk where we all sit in my place, everybody that works for me, and I get a card. I open it up, and there's a handwritten letter from this 16-year-old girl that said, I just celebrated 45 days sober. I cannot thank you enough for this life, this new life that I have, and I'm going to make sure it doesn't go to waste and help as many people as I can.
Man.
We end it right there, because how much better does it get?
Mic drop.
I have so many more questions.
Darren Prince. Hey, man, we'll drive up to LA. I'm on your stupid busy schedule, but we'll probably take him out to dinner.
No, we appreciate you coming
We'll do the
down.
mic drop after that one.
There you
Thank you, God.
I'm silent, man.
Man, Darren, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
For driving down here. I know you've got a lot on your plate.
That's
it.
We
I really
could do a
definitely
part
appreciate
3
your time.
anytime you want. Hopefully not on a Friday during rush hour. But my schedule is crazy. I wanted to come see you. It's been too long.
I know it has
I
been.
meet your boys. They're family now too.
Yeah. We gotta let's catch up. I mean, we'll coordinate a time. Maybe we'll come up to LA. We'll have some
Awesome.
dinner or something. All
I'm
right.
down for dinner.
Perfect.
Yeah,
We
for
would.
sure.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
Thanks,
awesome.
guys.
Yeah, man.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.